Good morning, everybody. Hope that you're doing well. Happy Monday. We are starting off a brand new week, so I hope that you're well. Hope that you're ready to go. Hope that you're feeling energized after the weekend and ready to take on whatever the week brings. I know that I am. I had a great stream yesterday. Really enjoyed the discussion that we had yesterday. As some of you may know, on Sundays we do a little bit of a longer stream, a little bit more of an instructional stream. So just really happy with the way things played out yesterday. You know, because sometimes I come into the classes with a goal I have in mind. You know, like there's something I want to deliver, but I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it. You know, I know the messaging, I don't know the how. So I'm glad we got to do that yesterday. Really great turnout, really great participation. So thank you so much for that. So that gives me a lot of energy coming into this week, into Monday. Lots of things coming up this week. So I'm just really excited to be here with all of you. Hope that all of you are well. Hope that you and your families are safe in whatever part of the world you're in. Now, I'm still getting quite a few new people on both YouTube and Instagram and some of my other platforms, and on X. I was going to say Twitch, and I meant to say X. For some reason, my followers on X have started to rise again. Who knows? But please, well, first of all, welcome. Don't feel shy about being a new person. There's a lot of new people. We always start off with our global roll call. That's where we ask people to let us know their city, state, province, country. Easy way for you to participate, easy way for you to contribute to the community, good way to introduce yourself, you know, as far as practicing your professionalism and all that. And then from there, sometimes I'll give an opening note, sometimes I won't, it just depends. And then I'm here to take your questions. You know, on Sundays, I definitely do something more instructional. Other days, I'll bring articles or things for us to discuss. I do have an article we can discuss if we need to. But mostly on days like today, I'm here to take your questions and kind of help you guys out. Help you guys out in terms of any ideas, problems, questions that you have. I'm here for you. I'm here to help you guys essentially set the agenda, because I really have no agenda. And as I've said before, that's kind of what makes all of this fun for me. I have no idea what any of you are going to ask. So yeah, you know, it kind of makes it fun. I like taking on all comers, all questions. You never know, right? So I'm already seeing people in my chat, which is great. Thank you so much. Appreciate all of you introducing yourselves. And yeah, start filling up my chat with the introductions, with the questions, whatever you guys would like. For me, I guess I have a little bit of a briefer opening note just to kind of give you guys some ideas of what's coming up. So I've been watching my analytics closely, and my analytics tell me that we should be hitting 100,000 followers sometime in the next week or so. Right now, I think I'm projected to hit it around November 20th. November 19th, something like that. So, you know, 8-9 days away from now. So what I'm going to do there. Well, and by the way, I'm still open for suggestions if you guys want to do something special for the 100K live stream, because obviously I'm going to live stream it. We're going to put the number counts up on the screen so we can all see it turn over to 100,000, which is an incredible number. And then from there, my current plan is to have a 12-hour stream, right? Leading up to it. That way there's no chance of us missing it, because I kind of screwed it up for the 50K and I still feel bad about that. But at the same time, I can't control when it's going to happen. You know, it's a little bit variable. Who knows? You know, maybe the video I posted today on robots will go viral and it could happen tomorrow, right? But we're going to try to do our best to make sure that everybody can participate. I'm going to have a very long stream. People can come and go. You know, I'll have to come and go also, because obviously I have to get up occasionally or whatnot, right? But yeah, you know, I'm looking forward to sharing that moment with all of you guys. And obviously a big milestone for the channel. I'm going to be very proud of that. And then after that, you know, at some point the silver play button will arrive and I'll have an unboxing for that. So that'll be kind of fun. But yeah, but that's really kind of what's coming up here in the next week or so. But just wanted to kind of put that on your calendar. So November 19th, November 20th, 21st, something around that. Keep that in mind. My only hope is that it happens before November 25th, because November 25th, I am going to go, I'm taking a little bit of a trip. I'm going to go see my dad in LA. It's his birthday, and my dad asked me to spend his birthday with him. So obviously, that's non-negotiable. Of course I'm going to go. So that's my only hope, that it happens before the 25th. But we'll see. So just wanted to kind of let you guys know that that's coming up, because, it's not every day you get a chance to see a channel cross the 100K mark, right? I mean, that's pretty cool. According to the YouTube statistics that I saw, if you reach 100,000, you're less than 0.5% of channels reach that. It's like 0.43 or something like that. But yeah, so looking forward to that, guys. So keep that on your calendars. November 19, 2021. I'll announce it as we get closer, obviously. But we're going to have a long stream. You guys are welcome to come and go. Bring your friends, bring your family, whatever. And we'll see where that ends up. All right, so let me look at some of the introductions. I already see some people here. Thank you so much for joining, everybody. Yassine is first today. Hello, sir. Yassine from Tangier, Morocco. Yassine, so good to see you. You're such a great supporter. Thank you so much. Yassine, I think you were one of my early supporters, so thank you so much for being here. I'm trying to think about at what number you joined, but it was pretty low. So glad to see you here, Yassine. Hope your studies are going well out there in Tangier. Rustam, I think it's your first time. Welcome. Rustam says they are from Malappuram, Kerala, India. Nice. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you introducing yourself. I get a lot of viewers on Instagram, but nobody feels like introducing themselves. So thank you so much for doing that. Osama, our good friend Osama says, hello, sir. Hope everything is going well. Everything is going really well. Thank you. I've been up since 4 a.m. I've been doing some work. I released a new video today. So anytime I release a new video, I have to do a lot of marketing across all my platforms, which is easier said than done. But yeah, it's going well. I hope the same for you. I hope you and your family are good and healthy. So thanks so much for being here, Osama. Denelson, our good friend Denelson from LA says, good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, Denelson. Hope you're doing well. Denelson, how do you listen to me if you have to go to work? Are you listening to me at work? Or maybe you work remotely. Who knows, right? There's still people who work remotely. But let me know how that works for you, Denelson. Starry Vibes, our good friend Starry Vibe says, hello, sir. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing very well, thank you. I hope the same for you. Yeah, it's going to be a good day. I'm going to do this stream with you guys. And then I'm going to go walking. I'm going to do a little bit of a longer walk today. I'm trying to do about 10 kilometers today. So I don't know if I'm going to go, I don't know if I'm going to actually complete that, but I'm trying for 10 kilometers today. But yeah, day's off to a good start. Get to spend time with you and then go walking with my dog and then come back, have some lunch, and go from there. Yeah, Rustam says nice. I believe you're referring to the 100K. Yeah, it is going to be a nice occasion. It's not every day you get to see a channel that actually crosses over into the 100K mark, right? So I think that'll be cool. I think it'll make for a good video. Obviously I'll stream it and everything and just see what happens. Just looking forward to it. I'm just taking this all as it comes. In a lot of ways, it's very surreal because I just started this in May, and like I've told you guys, like if you had told me at the beginning of 2024 that I was going to have a silver play button, I would have said, you're insane. I don't know anything about YouTube. I didn't even know the difference. Like, what's a reel? What's a short? Do you know how long it took me to figure out the difference between a reel and a short and a story? And now I have 100,000 followers? Craziness. Matare, our good friend Matare is back. Good morning, sir. How are everyone where you are? I think everyone is doing great where I am. We're going to have some beautiful weather today. Beautiful weather. As I told you guys, I live in the desert. And in the desert, this time of year, like October, November, December, January, February, it's just the most beautiful weather on the planet, in my opinion. You cannot show me another city on the planet that has better weather than the desert during that time. Khalif, how are you, my friend? Khalif, I think you were there during our session yesterday, so good to see you today. Greetings of the day, Sir Dennis, and everyone. Greetings to you too. Hope you're doing well out there, Khalif. Let me know what you thought about the session yesterday. If you guys were in the session yesterday, give me some feedback. Surprisingly, I've had quite a bit of people send me feedback on this particular session. I've had at least 3 people send me feedback, privately via DMs, and I always appreciate that. But yeah, I think we had a good session. Gonna lead into a good week, So yeah, we'll see. Lewis, our good friend Lewis is back. Lewis says, good morning. Finally able to join one of these since it's a holiday here in the US today. Yeah, Lewis, first of all, glad to see that you're back. I hope you're doing well. But yeah, Lewis is right. For those of you that are outside of the US, we do have a holiday today. Today is Veterans Day in the United States. Obviously a big holiday, a very meaningful holiday. But I gotta tell you guys, a funny thing about streaming and running this channel and doing content, and because I've been working a lot at it, the days kind of blend into each other, right? Like sometimes I don't realize when it's the weekend versus the weekday. I only look at it because, excuse me, so I can talk to all of you on chat. But I kind of forget that, right? That, yeah, today is a special holiday. So thank you so much for that, Lewis. Thanks for that reminder. And if you are in the US and you're celebrating Veterans Day, good for you. But yeah, a lot of things are closed today. The stock market is also closed today. But I'm not closed, right? I'm still here for you guys. Oh, right. That's what I was going to say. One of the reasons why the days blend into each other is because, I have an international audience, right? So some holidays here don't mean anything in other parts of the world, and vice versa, right? So yeah, it's good to recognize those holidays though. So thank you for that reminder, Lewis. Khalif says, unfortunately, I had to drop, sir. I have exams. I believe it was fantastic. Oh, great. Thank you. I appreciate that feedback. Yeah, a lot of people are giving me really good feedback from yesterday. And I think that some of the items that we discussed yesterday are not things that you're going to really find in a lot of content. Part of it is because the people doing the content don't know any better, right? The idiot influencers that I tell you guys about. But the other part of it is that it's really hard to express, right? Like, I think it would be very hard to make a recorded video on some of the topics that we talked about yesterday. So that's why I'm really grateful that I'm able to have this platform with all of you guys to do the live stream courses, because I think that's kind of when the some of these harder topics can come out a little easier. So that's why I really think that yesterday was special. But also because, as I mentioned to you guys, sometimes I know what I want to get across to you. I just don't know exactly how. So it's up to me to kind of drive that conversation and kind of shape it. And that's kind of fun, right? It's kind of fun to be doing that in real time. So we were able to do that yesterday. So really glad I was able to, really glad the session went well. Khalif said, just wanted to say hi. Yeah, and that's cool. The sessions definitely tend to run longer on Sundays. And I understand that people don't have time for the entire session. But, come and go as you can. Manoj, our good friend Manoj says, Namaste, Sir Dennis, and everyone. Manoj from Bangalore, India. How are you, Manoj? Hope you're doing well out there. What's the weather in India like right now? Something tells me it's probably not too bad, but probably still warm, right? India's basically a warm country year round, as I understand it, or at least southern India, right? But yeah, I hope you're doing well, Manoj. Thanks for coming yesterday and today. yeah, I think, I really enjoyed learning about that efficient frontier approach. It's not something that I was familiar with. So really appreciate that you brought that up, Manoj. That was one of your ideas. But yeah, I think we're headed in a good direction with all of those projects and explorations that we've done. So really looking forward to seeing where the rest of that series goes out. I can't believe it's been 6 parts, guys. I think we're going to end up around 10 parts. That's what my gut tells me. Like 9, 10 parts. So we'll see. We'll see. But it's going well so far. But it's, I'm excited to see where we're going to end up with that. All right. Are there any more introductions or any other questions? Right now, it's a great time for questions. Otherwise, I have an article or, a slide that I wanted to show people. Or a set of slides, I should say. It's an article that I had posted to our Discord. And, I think there's a couple of interesting things to talk in there. But, just want to give people who are late a chance to introduce themselves. Let us know your city, state, province, country. Really easy way for you to participate. Feel like you're a part of the community. But otherwise, I'm going to bring up this article here. So give me just a second to prepare that. All right. So a little bit of participation today. Manoj says, I'm doing well. How are you? Your view on explanations are tremendously great, sir. Tremendous, not just great, but tremendously great. I appreciate that, Manoj. That's always been one of my skills. I pride myself in that skill of being able to explain things that are complex, but still understandable. But yeah, I appreciate that feedback, and I think yesterday was really fun. And we're going to get into more complex stuff, right? Like one of the things I'm really looking forward to coming up in the series is we're going to talk about deployment. What happens when you have a model? Like, what do you do then? Like, nobody teaches that, right? In academics, you hand in your model, you hand in your final statistics or whatever, your final confusion matrix, and then it's done, right? Like, nobody teaches you what to do with it afterwards, right? So I'm looking forward to that portion. That portion is going to be really cool. But yeah, Manoj, lots of good stuff coming up in that series. Lots of good stuff. Rex, our good friend Rex from New York City. Hey Rex, how are you? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. All right. So I have a deck up on the screen. We're not going to go through all 49 slides, but the IAB is a trade association in Europe, and I like keeping track of trade associations because trade association documents are a really good way for you to kind of keep up on entire industry trends, right? If you're in doubt of something or you want to learn about an industry or something else, starting with the trade association is a good way to do it, right? So the IAB puts out this report about programmatic advertising in Europe, specifically in Europe. What do you guys think? What do you think about when you think of programmatic advertising? Because I'm not professing to be an expert in this either, but you never know what you're going to learn, right? So my first question is, well, what the heck is programmatic advertising? So let me know in the comments. Tell me what you think. What does programmatic advertising mean to you? What comes to mind when you're thinking about that? Because I have my own views on it, and maybe you have different views on it, and that's okay, right? Because we're still learning. But let me know, what do you guys think about programmatic advertising? What comes to mind when you hear that? So let's see what's next here. So obviously any good presentation starts with an executive summary. And let me just go one more page. I thought that there was a mention in the I thought that there was a mention of AI in this executive summary, and it looks like I'm wrong on that. But that's one of the reasons why this study caught my eye, because they mentioned the use of AI and, other algorithms in their programmatic advertising. So the next thing I'm also looking for is I'm looking for their methodology. And we've talked about this a little bit before, right? So we're looking for the geographic dispersion, 29 European countries. We're looking at the N value. The N value is 254 respondents. We're looking at the time. So this was done basically in the middle of summer 2024. So fairly recent data, right? And who was it? It was advertisers, agencies, publishers, and tech vendors in 31 markets. So 31 markets spread across 29 countries. Data from this summer from 254 respondents, right? So always helpful to kind of frame the results that we're about to see. 254 doesn't sound like the biggest sample size possible, but who knows, right? It could be representative based on the size of the programmatic advertising industry, right? I don't know. We'll find out. This tells us a little bit about the profiles of the people in our sample, right? So what is the job role? Head of programmatic seems like the most popular one. And then the company, is it an advertiser, publisher, agency, or ad tech company, right? Because to me, that kind of fulfills the chain of how advertising happens, right? You could be an advertiser that does its own management. You buy your own ads, you make your own content. You could be working with an agency, an ad tech company, or a publisher, right? All of those are valid respondents for this type of survey. So far everything makes sense, right? So give me just a second to look ahead here. I really thought that AI was mentioned a little bit earlier. Because not all of these charts are relevant to what I want to discuss today. But I really thought that it was a little bit earlier in. All right. So let's get down to the AI section. I might have to go back and check a couple of the other charts because there were a couple of charts that I thought were a little bit more relevant. So here is where we start talking about AI, right? Where the future of programmatic advertising is going. Okay, so I asked earlier if somebody would give me their definition of programmatic. I haven't seen any replies. So that tells me that maybe people might be unsure about what it means. So when it comes to advertising at these large companies, right, or even medium-sized companies, they do a lot of it. And they're not so much focused on every single individual commercial slot that they buy. They just want to know that they're buying a certain number of slots to get their content out, their commercials, their advertisements, so on and so forth. So there is a programmatic approach to that where somebody like a Coca-Cola, let's say, they don't want to know every single time that they play. They don't pick each individual one. They just say, well, we just want to know that in these 5 countries, we had 300 advertisements go out every week during daytime hours, right? So, right. Okay. So Starry Vibes, thank you for that. That's a great definition. I think it's an automated way to buy and sell ads online using data to target audiences efficiently. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's not so much the selling, but it's definitely the buying of the ads, like the slot of when your content can play, when your commercial can play, right? And it's automated because, again, these big companies, they just care that they're getting sufficient coverage, sufficient slots. They don't need to know every single time or every single show, every single channel. They really are kind of agnostic to that. They just want to know that they bought so many slots, right? So does that sound like an algorithm? Like, yeah, right? There's probably algorithms behind that, right? Because, there's probably I'm guessing there's probably an algorithm to guess how many slots are even available, right? And then how you actually execute the buying of them, right? How much should you be paying, right? So it would make sense that if you're a Coca-Cola, or if you're an ad agency or an ad tech company, that you would be well aware of the programmatic, the algorithmic ways to buy those slots, those advertising slots, right? So that's basically, kind of what programmatic advertisement is, right? So it would make sense that they have an eye towards AI, right? Because you could probably do something around that, right? Is it going to be pure AI? No, it's probably more machine learning. But it makes sense that this would be in a report like this. And that's why this report caught my eye. I'm not an advertising specialist by any means, but it makes sense that data science is affecting their industry in some way. All right, so let's see what they said. Respondents were asked what they thought would be the key programmatic growth areas over the next 12 months. 36% of advertisers and 29% of agencies cited AI as being the number one contributor to future programmatic growth. That's great, right? For us as data scientists, that's great. It's especially encouraging if you didn't consider advertising as something that was very sophisticated, right? If anything I've just told you about programmatic advertising is new to you, then that's good. It's good that the growth within the industry will be is happening. Because what does that mean? It means new investment. It means new jobs, right? It means new companies who maybe haven't invested in AI before will now be doing that, right? So we should be encouraged by these numbers. These numbers represent a positive direction for the entire industry, right? To have existing industries making new investments in data science, citing AI, citing machine learning as a key growth in the future. Hey, that's great for all of us, right? That's great for all of us as the data science practitioners, right? So I think there's good things there. Publishers selected audio and retail media as their top 2 growth areas for programmatic growth. 43% are selecting it as a number 1 driver. Okay. I gotta tell you guys, even more than these numbers, this paragraph here caught my eye. That really caught my eye when I saw the 43% of it selecting audio and retail media as their top growth areas for programmatic growth. Sulata Garami says, I am your new student. Welcome, Sulata. I think it's your first time. Sulata, we ask people to introduce themselves, so let us know what city, state, province you're from. So let's think about that. I want to take apart this paragraph here. And actually, before we do that, let me check the charts here. Yeah. Let's think about this paragraph, and we're going to look at the next chart. All right, I'm going to ask you guys to put your critical thinking caps on, right? Publisher selected audio and retail media as their top two growth areas. Top two growth areas for programmatic growth. The confidence in retail media fueling new investment opportunities was mostly strong backed by ad tech vendors, with 43% selecting it as the number one driver. I think there's a ton to look at in that paragraph. So just to, a proper data scientist, I think a proper data scientist, remember, always validates assumptions, right? So let's all even out our knowledge, and we're going to say that audio refers to like radio commercials or commercials on Spotify, commercials on Apple, things like that, right? And then we're going to say that retail media is things like in-store advertisements or billboards or, maybe like a magazine. Okay? So we're going to say that the audio they're referring to is like Spotify commercials, radio commercials, stuff like that. And we're going to say that the retail media is in-store displays, billboards, stuff like that. Okay? And then let's take a look at this chart. Here's your retail media, and here's your audio. Okay? What do you guys think? Why are they citing audio? And why are they citing retail media specifically? I think there's reasons. I want to see if you guys see the reasons, or if you guys have ideas on the reasons. What do you think? So yes, while you guys think about that, I'm going to read the comments, but please let me know why you think that's the case. So Yassine says, I think that their choices are biased. All things selected by the publishers are things where they have direct interaction with. Yeah, but isn't that their job? I don't know, Yassine. Maybe give me a little more detail, but I'm not seeing it. It's their job to have interaction with all of these models, right? So I don't know, Yassine. Maybe I'm just not understanding you. But give me some more details. Okay, Rex says, are we sure they're correctly referring to AI or just using it as a buzzword? As you have told us before, sometimes people things call AI when they mean something else. Yeah, Rex, I agree with that. This is probably machine learning, right? Probably machine learning. Probably, some of this stuff you can probably even solve with like regression methods or something very straightforward, right? But yeah, you're probably right about that. It's probably not something like amazing, right? Is it Tejeshwar? Tejeshwar, welcome. I think it's your first time. Yes, this is absolutely live. We ask people to introduce themselves. Let us know your city, state, province, country. And, you're welcome to join in on this discussion, okay? All right, so again, the question in front of the chat is, why do you think audio and retail media is being singled out for programmatic growth? And by the way, as a hint, look at voice. Look at voice. Isn't voice also related to audio? Why is that number so low? Oh, look, Denelson, you took the words right out of my mouth, my friend. Why is audio and voice separated? Wouldn't it be in the same category? Yeah, Denelson, I think there's definitely a good question there. Like maybe they should be bucketed. But our focus here isn't to critique the approach of the study. It's more about thinking about this from a data science perspective, right? What do you think? But Denelson, I love the fact that you were looking at voice even before I mentioned it. What do you guys think? Yassine says, I meant it's where they excel at. Publishers can be less aware of the possibilities of other things such as AI. Okay, okay. But here, but you see, these are already programmatic advertising professionals. It's not like this programmatic buys are new to them, right? AI may be new to them, or the concept of AI, but you know, they may already have some experience with it, right? Like they're not dummies, right? So I don't know. I think I get your point. I'm just not sure if I'm 100% on board with it, right? Because they're already doing some programmatic work. I mean, look, they're already doing things on TV and stuff like that, right? But you know, so I'm not sure if they're being biased in that way. So Tejeshwar says they're from Bentonville, Arkansas, USA. Welcome, welcome. Glad to have you here. Hope you're doing well. Feel free to participate and feel free to keep on coming back. Always good to see new people. So thanks so much for being here. So what do you guys think though? Voice, audio? What do you guys think? And again, just like yesterday, guys, right? My intent is not to teach you this industry. We're looking at the meta view here, right? I think that there's two insights that we can get from this, right? The first thing that jumped out at me, and really kind of like the primary reason why I chose this study for us to look at, is it's the service. Yassine says it's a service they provide. It's normal they will say it's one that's key. Okay. Matari says, I think a lot of people get access to audio and retail, hence great results. But Matari, but their numbers are so low, right? They're saying that they don't have an expectation that this is going to help them grow, right? So they're actually saying the opposite of your view, and that's okay. We can take contrarian views, but like I'm not trying to learn the advertising industry. I'm trying to think about this from a data science perspective. So here, let me guide you guys along here, okay? I'm gonna ask you a question. This is we're gonna do a quick little poll here, right? Ones and zeros, right? So give me a 1 if you have done a data science project just with audio files in the last year. Give me a 0 if you haven't. Give me a 1 in the chat if you've done a data science project where your input data was voice files or audio files, and give me a 0 if you haven't done that. A 1 if you have, a 0 if you haven't. Give me the votes. Okay, Rex is quick on the votes. Look at that. Bang, he voted right away. All right, give me a 0, right? If you're like Rex, you haven't worked on it, give me a 0. Or give me a 1 if you have, where audio files, voice files was your only input. All right, couple votes coming in. Last call for votes here, guys. All right, last call for votes. A 1 if you've done a data science project with voice files as your input, a 0 if you haven't. Okay. All right. So, do you guys see my point? How many zeros do you see on the screen? Why? Because working with audio files is hard. For those of you who don't know, when you're talking about audio files, it's called signal processing, right? That's like the family that it's considered, right? Signal processing is hard, guys. So I'm not at all surprised by these results, right? And I obviously it's like a fake poll. I did it to illustrate it for you guys. But Who does neural networks or anything for audio files? It's hard, right? So when I saw this graph, that jumped out at me, right? Like, you know how hard it is to process pure voice files, especially when there's multiple speakers, like in a back and forth conversation. That is hard. That is super hard, right? I know. There's libraries that help you that can transcribe and then you can turn it into an NLP exercise. I get it. But from like a pure perspective, like entering a new industry, going into a new client, and working with audio files, super difficult, right? So like, I'm not surprised that there's no ones in the chat because it's very hard. Signal processing is extremely hard. So where things are hard is also an opportunity, right? Maybe some of you want to become a signal processing expert, right? Like, maybe that calls to you, and if it does, cool. I think there's a lot of opportunities there, right? But this chart to me tells me that. It kind of reinforces that because it's hard. Like writing stuff for audio files, again, from a data science perspective, super difficult. On top of that, you might have some limited data too, right? I know that with Spotify and whatnot, you can get like analytics on how many people listen to you and all that, but you can't really do that on the radio, right? Or we talked about retail media. How do you measure how many people saw your magazine ad? How do you measure how many people saw your display in a store, right? Like, let's say you're a clothing brand, and when you send your clothes, you also send like those displays, that people, that the stores have next to the clothes, talking about like the different fabric materials or whatever, right? Like, how do you measure that somebody saw that, or how do you measure that somebody was influenced by that? You really can't, right? You can do it online. Somebody saw your ad, I clicked on it, and that click led to a sale, right? You can track those conversions. You can't do that with a display ad, with the retail media, as they call it, right? How do you measure that? Maybe you want to invent something, right? Like, what if you had a retail media that also had a camera installed, like a pinpoint camera, and that camera would measure the number of people that walked by versus the number of people that stopped and read your advertisement, and then maybe you'd even detect when somebody picked something up and put it in their cart, right? Or at least they tried it on, or at least they stopped and looked at your display. You'd have to do something like that, right? Because otherwise, like, there's no metrics to measure against. You just kind of push it out and like, you get nothing back in terms of analytics, right? So from a data science perspective, it kind of stinks, right? So these are the types of things that I think about when I see these studies, when these things kind of come across my desk. Because again, I'm always encouraging you guys to take the meta view, right? We can, nowadays, because AI is so hot, as Rex says, right? Everything has AI. Like every study you can pick up has AI or some mention of it. So if you really want to build your data science skills, keep on picking up these studies and don't look at it in the natural. Look at it for what you can learn as a data scientist. Or ask the why, right? Because that's where I started. I thought audio and voice are so low. Why is that? Oh, because I just remember the last time I did one of these algorithms, it was a pain. Yeah, of course. Nobody wants to do these algorithms, right? But that's the type of critical thinking I would encourage all of you to have, because you can find lessons learned about data science, not about advertising, right? But about data science in, just about everywhere nowadays, right? And when you do that, when you start building that, like, you start seeing the world as just a big collection of numbers and algorithms, right? Because, it's kind of like what everything is, right? So Danielson says that approach would also take so much time and resources. Yeah, sure. And maybe there's already been like a return on investment type of approach that tells you that that stinks, right? Or maybe there's maybe it could be a bias, right? This could be like an industry bias, right? Remember that, right? Bias, domain knowledge is a form of bias. Listening to other people who say, "Oh, that'll never work," right? That's bias. So yeah, it could be that, Denelson. It could be that it's time and resources, that nobody has done the study on it, that the ROI stinks, or it's just an industry bias. Oh, you're still doing radio commercials? Nobody does those anymore, right? But who knows? Maybe they work great. According to this, that could be a bias that the industry has, or at least from this sample, right? I'm assuming the sample's representative of the industry. But these are the things that I'm encouraging all of you to kind of look at and take a deeper look at whenever you come across these studies. What does it mean for you as a data scientist? Not as an advertising professional, right? This is from the advertising industry. But what does it mean for you as a data scientist? Maybe it means that you want to do more work in signal processing, right? The second thing that jumped out at me here from this collection is also the voice and the audio. Gen AI goes well beyond text, right? LLMs. That's where we're at now. And we're about to go into the video portion of that, right? I think it's fair to say that in 2025, we're going to see a lot more of the Gen AI video tools coming out. And improvement in the current ones, right? But the same thing goes for audio and voice, right? I mean, there's Gen AI generated songs now, right? And obviously there's some voices out there, some are better than others, right? But those will improve, right? So what if this industry is missing out on that potential for voice? I worked for a company, I'm not going to give too many details, but I work for a company who, we hired voice actors, we asked them to record certain things and all that. And that's expensive. It's expensive to do that. You got to pay for the voice actor's time, you got to pay for the studio time, the editing, the mastering of the tracks and all that. It's a lot to record that. So maybe that's why they're shying away from voice. I mean, look at these numbers. These numbers are all in the single digits. But what if, there will be a ChatGPT of Gen AI for voice, right? I mean, I don't think there's a dominant player now, but that will happen, right? There will be a dominant player for creation of voices, right? So now you drastically drop the price of doing voice ads or voice content, right? What then? Maybe voice will be a bigger driver than this industry thinks, right? You could make that argument, right? For some of you, I've told, some of you who have asked me for advice, I've told you, have a position on something. Have a position on the industry as a whole, right? Maybe you're not ready for a full study, but you're in the business, you're interested. People are going to seek you out as an expert. Have an opinion on this. So maybe that could be your first opinion or one of your LinkedIn articles. How do you view Gen AI for voice and audio specifically, right? Not text, not video. What's your view on that? What's your outlook on that? Is that coming in 2025? Is it not coming? Is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? Have a position on that, right? So I'm taking a position that maybe it'll help that. Maybe we'll see a lot more voice content. Now, I know there's some generators out there already. They're not very good, right? You can tell that they're a Gen AI voice, right? But what happens when you when that improves and it becomes cheaper too, right? It becomes faster, right? I mean, that's kind of the problem that Gen AI video is having, right? Gen AI is not cheap or fast right now, right? But what happens when those things do? I don't think it's going to be that far away from now. I was going to say that long away from now. I don't think that's correct. But what happens, right? What happens when that becomes a reality? Maybe next time they run this ad, or this study rather, these numbers will quadruple, right? They'll be up to the audio section, right? Rex says Notebook LM from Google creates an AI generated podcast based on sources you submit. It's so good you can customize the podcast request. Would this be voice or audio? I'm gonna say that's more on the voice side, Rex. Yeah, I'm gonna say it's on the voice side. You know, I've seen a couple of these. Excuse me. I've seen a couple of these AI generated podcasts come across my YouTube feed. What do you guys think of those? I'm not really impressed of where they are right now. I'm not really impressed by that. They feel synthetic, right? They feel a little fake to me. But, you know, like I said, that's going to improve, right? That's going to improve. Now, having said that, you know, on TikTok, you can find some hilarious memes, especially after the election in the US last week, that have generated voices. And some of those are hilarious, and I enjoy those. But not because of the quality of the Gen AI, because it still stinks, right? The voice sounds funny. But because of the content, right? The content is inherently good, right? It made me laugh. It's inherently funny content, right? So that's kind of another question, Rex. Is it maybe a little too fake? Maybe a little too AI generated? Because, you know, kind of stepping across here into what I'm doing with this data science with Dennis, you learn quickly that content matters, right? You're not here because you like my studio background, right? You're here because of the content. So maybe it won't matter as much as I think it does, right? If it's inherently good content, then who cares, right? Some of these social media, you know, gurus or guides that I follow that I like talk about that. You know, you could be sitting in a, you know, with a junkyard behind you. It doesn't matter if your content is good, right? Rex says definitely room for improvement, but I'm finding it quite useful so far. Okay, Rex. Well, you know, people will get different things out of it, right? But I've seen a couple, and you know, they're okay. But you know, to me, they feel a little synthetic. You know, but you know, that could also be a personal bias, right? And I'm sorry that I'm talking more about what I do here on my channel. But you know, one of the things that I've always tried to do is I try to be authentic with you guys. You know, I learned a long time ago that audiences know when you're being fake. So I'm never going to try to be fake to you guys, right? So I have yet to come across a Gen AI podcast or voice or audio that is genuine, right? That they are giving you really good firsthand knowledge type of information. So that's kind of like where I'm at with it, Rex. So I hope that genuine content will still always win out in the end. Genuine human generated content will always win out in the end. Denelson says, I worked on audio files in 2019 for simple voice separation and word classification with friends for a club's texting system. That project was insanely hard. It is hard. It is hard. Yeah, you know, Denelson, thank you so much for sharing that information. Yeah, I don't want to mention the company because I don't want to embarrass them, but I was part of helping a very, 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 very large company, you know, in the AI space, with some of their audio work. And that really did teach me like how difficult it is. Like there's so many parameters. You got to account for the background noise, the pauses, whether it's one person, whether it's two people, and they're talking back and forth. And the audio file itself, is it single channel or multi-channel? Because sometimes you can separate the voices, sometimes you can't. Very, very difficult. So yeah, I empathize with your pain, Denelson. A lot of people don't realize how hard working with audio can be. It's very, very difficult. So I hear you on that, Dennis. And so thanks so much for sharing that. And also it requires a lot of processing power, right? When you're talking about dealing with audio, you're talking about a significantly large neural network in most cases. But some of you might like that. Some of you, that might appeal to you. You never know, right? I would think that there's opportunities there. So Rex, why don't you make us a synthetic podcast about getting into signal processing? That would help. All right, guys. So those are the two primary slides I wanted to share from you. Share two primary slides I wanted to share with you. But I hope you're understanding that, again, there's information everywhere, right? Don't accept data in the natural. There's always ways for you to think about the data science implications, right? And this is what also prepares you to be able to take more of those interviews, more of those different industries, and be able to say, yeah, I know a little bit about advertising. I know a little bit about signal processing. I know a little bit about the finance industry. I know a little bit about NVIDIA, so on and so forth, right? And that's what's going to help you create a more, well-rounded approach to data science. Okay? So Rex says, yeah, lots of potential. Yeah, there is a lot of potential there, Rex, right? And I think there's a lot of potential in the advertising industry overall, just like a lot of other industries have potential, right? But yeah. So these are the things that I read. These are the things that I pick up on. So I hope that they're beneficial to you guys. But I want to welcome again all the new people that joined in. Thank you so much for staying with us and participating. Feel free to keep on coming back. Really get encouraged when people come back. Also really grateful for my longtime supporters. Thank you so much for being here. So that wraps up today. So as always, please, lots of crazy stuff happening in the world. Take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and I'll see you next time.